I blew up my marriage believing that my husband cheated on me when he didn't. Cheating is something that I have always had strong opinions about. I have been cheated on before, and it sucked. Everyone knows that I don't forgive cheaters. So when my husband's sister staged an elaborate scheme about my husband cheating, I ended the relationship. My relationship, unfortunately, wasn't the only one that was affected. My sister-in-law Lisa, 32, her best friend Emma, 32, and my husband Jamie, 29, were best friends growing up. Emma got married early, when she was 20. Her husband was abusive. She has 2 children with him. She got divorced 10 years later, and she was finally free from his abuse. She suffered a lot, however, and was in therapy alongside her children. I, 30, met Jamie 4 years ago. We got married 2 years later. Everything was just awesome. What I didn't know was that Emma wanted Jamie, and Lisa made it her mission to bring her brother and best friend together after Emma finally got divorced. I didn't know any of this, so I never knew there was a hidden agenda when a few months into my marriage, I overheard Lisa talking about how Jamie was cheating with a married colleague of his. In hindsight, I can tell it was staged, because she was saying unnecessary details and was very loud. She meant for me to hear it. I confronted her then and there, and she played very flustered and apologized and begged me not to ruin my marriage. She told me Jamie loved me, and she never wanted to lose me as a sister. But at the same time, she provided me with pictures and texts of my husband and his colleague. Later, I found out they were all photoshopped. She begged me not to mention where I'd found out, and I was grateful for her support and promised her not to expose her as the source. I confronted my husband with everything, and he adamantly refused to admit to anything. It hurt me more that he never admitted or apologized. Ever. He asked me where I got this from, but I kept my promise and told him it was an anonymous tip. I also went so far that I contacted the colleague's husband. At the time, I thought it was the right thing to do. The colleague is this very beautiful woman with whom my husband worked closely for many hours daily. I was a bit jealous of that, and I confided my fears to Lisa. She used it against me. I asked for a divorce, and the colleague's husband did, too. After that, Lisa, who I thought was my friend and who called me her sister, disappeared from my life. Like I never existed. Even when I bumped into her, she was short with me and indifferent. Months went by, and I was still heartbroken, processing the separation. My husband stopped trying to make me see reason and agreed to divorce. He said he wanted to move on. I started having doubts. Why is Lisa doing this now? She was my friend and wanted the best for me, yet she didn't even answer my texts. I followed both her and Emma on Instagram, and I started seeing how Emma and my husband gradually started hanging out. At least once a week, Emma or Lisa shared stories about my husband with Emma and her children. What I did next is very questionable, yet I don't regret it at all. I was desperate, and I needed the truth. I was still very good friends with Lisa's on-again, off-again boyfriend's sister. I told her my doubts and everything. I told her that Lisa was my source, that my husband was cheating, that I was starting to doubt everything, and that I needed their help to unearth the truth. The boyfriend, Mike, was easier to persuade than I expected. He had Lisa's passcodes, and he went through her messages with Emma. And there was everything. They had plotted everything. They used my idiocy and insecurity and made me throw the best thing that has ever happened to me. He sent me all the proof I needed. Even the original photos they used to Photoshop my husband with his colleague. My world was turned upside down again, and I went into a deeper depression. I stayed in bed and called in sick for 2 weeks. I have not only ruined my life, but also another family. I don't know why I'm writing here. If I want advice, or just to vent. I don't blame anyone, but my stupidity for ruining my marriage. I should have trusted my husband and the love he's shown me. I should have been honest with him about everything and where I got the news that he was cheating. I should not have gone to hurt the colleague and her family just because I thought she was beautiful. She has since quit her job and moved, but I still have her husband's contact information. I had to at least apologize. We met, and I told him everything. He was so angry with me. He was crying and yelling at me, and all I could think was that I deserved every insult he threw my way. I found the colleague on Instagram, told her everything, and made a long apology. She didn't answer me. I don't know if I should tell my husband, too. I know I don't deserve him at all. And I know he doesn't want me anymore, but maybe he should just know what Emma is doing and what she's capable of doing. He deserves to know the truth. Maybe I could start by reassuring him that I'm not trying to win him back. I'm just trying to help him understand. And apologize. I need to apologize for everything. I don't know. Update. Hi. I have an update for you guys. Thank you for being so supportive. I honestly didn't expect that, given how long and boring my story was. I remember being so desperate and wanting to tell everything from the beginning and put it out there, maybe to try and make excuses for myself and for what I did. I appreciate that you wanted to help. I decided not to meet up with Jamie. Every time I tried to text him and ask for a meeting, I panicked. That wasn't a good sign at all. I wanted him to know everything in detail, and I tend to be all over the place when I'm panicking. So, I decided to email him instead. I made a lot of drafts, cross-checked all the information, and waited a whole day before sending. Constantly adding some details here and there that I've forgotten to include. I sent him all the manipulated pictures and the originals. Every screenshot Mike sent me from Lisa and Emma's conversations. I made it clear, however, that I wasn't trying to manipulate him to have me back. Because I knew that what I did was unforgivable, but I wanted to warn him about who he was dealing with. I told him that I'd been watching Emma and Lisa's Instagram accounts, and I'd seen that he was getting cozier with Emma. I wanted him to know all the facts if he was dating her, but this took all my energy to write. Just the thought of him dating Emma, I can't. I texted him that I'd sent him an important email. He didn't answer me. On Wednesday, when I came back from work, Lisa, Emma, and Emma's 2 children were waiting for me outside of my building. When I let them in like the idiot I am, Lisa started yelling and threatening me. She told me to call and tell Jamie and Mike that I have made up all of this because I'm a pathetic loser. She told me I didn't want her as an enemy because she would make my life sour. Believe me, you don't want me to make destroying your already miserable life my mission. Emma just smiled the whole time. She later said that my husband always had a crush on her and that he wouldn't believe my nonsense because he could finally be with her. The thing is, it felt like Lisa was more angry that Mike knew what she did rather than her brother, and she really was annoyed about Emma and told her to shut up all the time. I couldn't get them out of my apartment, so I just left and called Jamie. I told him that they were at my place and that I couldn't get them out. 15 minutes later, I saw them leave. Jamie texted then that he wanted to come over if I was alright with it. Hell yes I was. He told me that he was very hurt that I would doubt him like this and believe rumors. I told him everything again, without panicking. I told him that I loved and trusted Lisa. She was like my sister, and I asked him to put himself in my shoes, and if he happened to hear Lisa talk about me being unfaithful, would he have any doubts in his loving sister's intentions? He stayed the night and left the next morning. We have been texting several times a day and talking on the phone and FaceTime every night since. He says that he loves me, but that he doesn't know what to do. He is very hurt. By his sister and Emma, of course, even by me. He hasn't talked about canceling the divorce process yet. I will just have to wait, and that's understandable. I've turned his life upside down twice in such a short period. On a happier note. My husband's colleague and her husband are back together. My husband met with them and apologized. I've already told them everything, but my husband felt the need to apologize personally. Mike has ended it with Lisa. Lisa and Emma's relationship is very strained. Both have blocked me on Instagram, of course, but apparently, Lisa is blaming Emma for Mike leaving her, and Emma has tried to throw Lisa under the bus by telling Jamie she was innocent in all of this. I really hope my husband forgives me, and I promise that I will make it up to him and love him forever. Top comments.
He doesn't believe Emma, right? That she was innocent and only Lisa was involved. Also, were they dating or just hanging out?
No, he doesn't believe Emma. I sent him screenshots of hundreds of texts between Lisa and Emma. Also, he didn't like her hitting on him when he believed she was my friend too. I asked him about the crush and he said it was when he was 15 or 16. Not now.
Marriage counseling might be a good idea if you both want this to work.
I have suggested this. He just smiled at me because it was something that he suggested before our breakup and I refused. Because at the time, I thought nothing can fix infidelity.
So are these people going to just get away with attempting to ruin your life?
I really don't know. Since I found out everything, I've only thought of my husband and his colleague and their forgiveness. Not sure what legal action I could take against Lisa.
What kind of sociopath tries to play puppet master in other people's lives like that? I'm sorry you got fooled by her evil meddling, and I'm even more sorry that your poor husband got so hurt by his own sister.
Am I the asshole for being suspicious of my girlfriend's friend after she tried to test me? I, 30M, have been dating my girlfriend Olivia, 23F, for the last 1 year. We met at a coffee shop near my office which I used to frequent to get my morning coffee, and she worked there as a barista. I asked her out, and she said yes. Things have been great so far, and I feel we are compatible in terms of what we like and want from a relationship. She has a group of 3 girlfriends she is close with. These girls are always very welcoming to me, but they seem very immature compared to my friends. One of the girls is Harper, 23F. Harper is awesome and we get along well since we like the same video games and music. Recently, Olivia and I were talking about taking our relationship to the next stage, and I asked her to move in with me. She spends 4 to 5 nights a week at my place anyway, so I asked her to just move in. For some reason, her parents are the most excited about this, as she is finally moving out of their house. She also told her friends about the same. On Saturday, Olivia decided to stay back at her parents' house to pack some of her things. Harper messaged Olivia and me that she and her friends were downtown, and if we wanted to hang out with her. Olivia was gone, but she told me it was okay if I wanted to go out for drinks with the girls. I had nothing to do, and hence I joined them. It was all 3 of her friends and me, and we went to a few bars. We lost the other 2 girls midway, and it was just Harper and I. I was constantly messaging Olivia about what was going on, as I started to get uncomfortable with the situation. As it was getting late, I told Harper that I would get an Uber for her to drop her home. She told me that she wanted to go dancing. At this point, she was visibly getting drunk. I called an Uber for her anyway. As we were leaving the bar, Harper grabbed my t-shirt and tried to kiss me. I immediately pulled back and told her that this was making me uncomfortable, and I would let it pass since she was drunk. She apologized to me. As we were waiting for Uber, she again started getting handsy and told me, "Let's go back to your place." And, "No one needs to know." I snapped at her at this point, and told her to please shut up until she got in the car. Finally, the Uber came and I got Harper to get in. She kept on apologizing to me and telling me, "Please don't tell Olivia." Finally, her Uber left, and I tracked it on my phone to make sure she reached home. I asked Olivia to check with Harper's roommate if she got safely to her apartment. As I was walking home, I called Olivia and told her about what happened. Olivia was crying and I was genuinely pissed at Harper's behavior. Olivia tried to call Harper at night, but her phone was going straight to her voicemail. In the morning, Olivia came home and told me, Hey, it's all good, it was just a test. I was angry at this point, and I asked Olivia to explain what was going on. So, Harper messaged Olivia in the morning that Olivia was really lucky and that I passed the test. I asked Olivia if she was involved in this, and she did not know that Harper was going to test me. According to Harper, she wanted to make sure that I was not a cheater before Olivia moved in with me. Hence, she wanted to see if I accept her advances. I told Olivia that Harper is full of crap because she was drunk and there is no way she was thinking straight. Moreover, when I snapped at her, she apologized and told me not to tell you anything. Harper is just trying to cover for her mistake and is giving a bull crap excuse. Olivia thinks I am overreacting. According to her, Harper is her best friend and will never betray her. Although the test was stupid and Harper should apologize to me, she was just looking for Olivia's best interest. Also, Olivia feels nothing happened, so I should not make a big deal of it. I just feel Olivia is dumb and cannot see that her friend tried to get her boyfriend to cheat. I just feel she is too immature to understand Harper's true intentions and it is bothering me. I told her to stay away from Harper if she wanted us to have a happy relationship. Am I the asshole to tell Olivia to not believe Harper's lies? Or do you think Harper's story checks out and I am just overreacting? I have never heard of anyone hitting on their friend's boyfriend to test the relationship and seems like the most bullcrap excuse. Update. Before I go to the update, let me address the issue that most of the comments were discussing. Yes, I am aware that there is a 7-year age gap between Olivia and me. It also does not help that I am a 6 feet 4 inches muscular dude, and she is a 5 feet 3 inches petite runner. I have dated girls my age, some girls slightly older than me and Olivia. I do not think maturity is a function of age, and I have dated girls my age who were way more childish than Olivia. Out of all my relationships, I have been the happiest in the last year with Olivia. She is not as academically gifted as I am, but she is ambitious and driven. She is a long-distance runner, runs 2 to 3 marathons per year, and is finishing her fitness training certifications. I am proud of her, and how she takes care of herself. The relationship just works for us. Now for the update. Harper told Olivia that she was just testing me and Olivia initially agreed with her explanation. We discussed it, and I told her my side of the story. I told her that Harper is bad news, but it's her choice if she wants to be friends with her. Olivia was more pissed at Harper that she did not tell her about the test beforehand, and had her doubts about Harper's story. I decided to drop the issue since I do not want Olivia to be broken off from her friends group because of me. Olivia just couldn't get over the incident, and kept on asking me for more details every day. Finally, yesterday we had a long discussion about it. I told her that testing someone's boyfriend is a very insecure thing to do. Doing it without telling Olivia was horrible as she did try to kiss me and physically seduce me into coming to our apartment. My point was if my friend ever tried to kiss Olivia and ask her to cheat on me, I would immediately drop that friend if not do something worse. She understood that but kept on repeating, what if Harper was just acting convincingly and did something stupid, but not evil? She told me that although Harper is very promiscuous, she would never try to steal someone's boyfriend. She also told me that Harper has a type of guy who she dates and I am not the type of guy she would date. I don't want to admit it, but that did hurt my ego. Olivia just kept on repeating that we would never really know what Harper was thinking that night. She may be trying to test me, but got drunk and went too far. I told Olivia that maybe she should test Harper and see what was really in her mind. Olivia was confused but went with what I was saying. I told Olivia to message Harper that she was going to visit her parents' place over the weekend and asked her to meet for brunch on Sunday. Harper replied and said it sounded great, and they decided a place to meet. After an hour, Olivia and I messaged Harper from my Snapchat with just a blank image and said, "Thinking about you." We waited for 10 minutes and Harper replied with 2 topless bathroom selfies. Olivia was beyond mad at this point, but I told her to wait and see what happens next. Harper then replied saying, "Hey, Olivia is gone for the weekend. Maybe I can show you this in person on Saturday." At this point, Olivia was just trying to keep it together. She snatched the phone from my hand, took a selfie of her face, and messaged it to Harper. Harper started blowing up Olivia's phone with missed calls and frantically messaging her. Her excuse was again, "I was right about your boyfriend. He is a cheat. I was testing him to see what was on his mind." Olivia did not reply to any of her messages, and it took a while to console her. I felt bad blowing up their friendship, but I knew what Harper was doing that night, and I felt she should not get away with it. Did I do something extremely immature for a 30-year-old guy? Yes. Did it feel good? Also yes. I feel any person hitting on their friend's partner deserves this treatment, irrespective of their age. I don't know if Olivia and Harper would patch up in the future or how it will affect her friends group. I sometimes feel guilty for the fact that I went out for drinks with Harper and friends, and that led to this whole situation. Olivia does not deserve to have her best friend betray her trust in this way. So, in the spirit of this subreddit, am I the asshole for testing my girlfriend's friend, who tried to test me? Top comments.
You are not the asshole. At least Olivia knows the truth about her friend now. So, are you and Olivia going forward with her plans to move in with you?
Yes. That was never off the table for me. I know it's easy to judge Olivia based on one incident. We have been dating for almost a year, and I am excited for her to move in.
What a prick. And he calls his girlfriend both dumb and immature in the first post. Not even acting dumb, but as dumb. OP is a patronizing self-important weirdo who should screw off and let these 20-somethings live their 20-something lives. But I say that with the salt of someone who spent much of my 20s with older men and came to regret it.
He's more academically gifted than his girlfriend and his ego was hurt because he's not the type of guy Harper is normally into. Sounds like a great dude.
The relationship just works for us. Apparently not, given the number of times you just called your 7 years younger girlfriend immature and dumb.
Am I the asshole for denying my boyfriend intimacy because he kept going after I passed out? I, 19F, have been dating my boyfriend, Luke, 24M, for about 6 months. Things have been great so far, until this. A week ago, Luke came over to my apartment for a date. After we talked and ate dinner, we then took things to the bedroom. To sum things up in a non-graphic manner, I finished multiple times, got overstimulated, and hyperventilated until I passed out. When I woke up, Luke was still going, and I was in pain as well. After he finished, I mentioned that I wasn't comfortable with him still going through with intimacy when I was unconscious. Luke just shrugged me off and said okay. Ever since then, I've been tense around him and have been avoiding intimacy with him whenever he tries to initiate. To be clear, I haven't been totally depriving him of affection. We've been kissing, hugging, and cuddling, but I just haven't been having intimacy with him like I normally would. Luke has been complaining about this and says it's borderline emotionally abusive to deprive him of intimacy after a mistake. We ended up celebrating Christmas early on the 23rd since he would be out of the city to celebrate with his parents and siblings. After exchanging presents, Luke attempted to pick me up and throw me on the bed to initiate intimacy. He only set me back down because I freaked out at him. Now he's gone and won't be back until New Year's Eve. Luke sent me a text saying that he expected me to get over what he did by the time he got back. I don't know what to do. I'm exhausted, and what Luke has been saying is making me feel guilty over how I've been reacting. Am I the asshole? Top comments.
He is manipulative and physically and emotionally abusive. Get over the fact I assaulted you, is what a narcissist would say because he is not getting what he wants. You have every right to be freaked out, upset, or feel any emotions you feel about what happened. Nobody, and I mean nobody, gets to tell you when or how to get over something. That is your choice and your choice only. It may take 3 days or 3 years. Nobody gets to decide that except you. You don't feel safe with this person anymore. That is normal. What you are feeling is normal and totally okay. I have been in a similar situation. Please stop communicating with this person. I usually don't tell people to leave, but please end this relationship and leave and cut all contact with him. He has no respect for you. He will likely abuse you again and again. He clearly doesn't care about you or your safety.
If I were to break up with him, it would be kind of hard to cut all contact since he's one of my brother's friends, and that's how we met at first.
How long have you and your brother known this guy? Also, you are not the asshole. What he did to you is disgusting.
I was 13 to 14 when my brother brought him over to our house and I met him. Update. Sorry for not updating sooner. It's been a busy and slow month. So, I took the advice that was given and broke up with Luke, but not before I told my brother what happened, as you guys suggested I do. Needless to say, my brother was livid and ended up confessing that he was a bit wary of Luke dating me, but since Luke came to ask him permission to date me and was one of his best friends, he thought he didn't need to worry. After that, I ended up breaking up with Luke through a text message. Cowardly, I know. I explained why I wanted to break up with him, and that I wasn't going to be swayed otherwise. This was a day before he came home from his trip. I, unfortunately, made the mistake of not blocking or muting his number and got a barrage of texts and voicemails about how horrible of a person I was for breaking up with him over a mistake and that I had ruined the last day he had with his parents and siblings before he came back to our city. Luke apparently didn't grasp the severity of his actions towards me, even after I explained it to him. He ended up complaining to his parents and siblings about me breaking up with him before he left. His family was horrified and told him that they didn't want to see him for a long while. He sounded so angry in the voicemails that I kept flinching as though he was in front of me and would possibly hit me. I almost called him to apologize out of fear and guilt, but I went to look at my previous post and decided not to do so. I blocked him everywhere I could. I guess his mom was horrified since she managed to get my number to send an apology text about what her son did to me and that she didn't raise him to do something so heinous. I said that it wasn't her fault and she didn't need to apologize for Luke's own actions. Luckily, we do not live together and split time spent at each other's apartment 50-50, so he didn't have much stuff at my apartment, and I didn't leave anything at his, except for some spare clothes that I didn't care to get back. Once Luke had come back, I initially asked my brother to give Luke's things back to him after I packed them up, but he declined, saying that he would kick his ass if he saw him in person again. My brother sent one of their mutual friends instead to do it. So that's it. I thankfully haven't heard from Luke directly since, and only get tidbits about him from my brother and his friends. I ended up changing my locks, just in case, though. I'm sorry if that wasn't the exciting update you were expecting, but thank all of you who showed me love and support after I made my first post. And to all of you who sent me threats over what I posted, I hope you get splinters the next time you're barefoot on a wooden floor. Top comments.
So he assaulted his girlfriend and then told his mom about it. I read a lot of Reddit stories and this is messed up even by this my standards.
People like the boyfriend always gross me out. Just by looking at Luke's response, it's disgusting. Though I am pretty glad to hear that his family actually held him accountable. OP made a good decision to break up. Although OP still needs to be careful, especially with how Luke responded.
Why is she sorry? It's not an exciting update. The whole internet is just glad she's okay now.
Firstly, that update was the best. That was the one I was holding my breath waiting for. Secondly, when people regain consciousness, they very often have no memory of what caused them to lose consciousness and cobble together some reason that makes sense to them. Given he claimed he checked her pulse, and has form for suddenly springing violent intimate acts on her, I suspect he might have smothered her.
This was horrifying to read. What loving man would continue to pound away on his unconscious girlfriend's body? I guess he checked her pulse to make sure he wasn't doing it with a dead body, just an unconscious one. He doesn't really believe he did anything wrong, but he sure as hell did. The fact that he tried to pick her up and throw her on the bed when she was not willing just proves he has a bad mindset when it comes to his needs. I'm glad she dumped him. Seems like his parents might dump him, too.
My boyfriend is moving in with his female best friend and their closeness makes me uncomfortable. So my boyfriend and I have been together for just under a year. When we first started dating, he told me about Faith, one of his best friends. They've known one another since childhood and are extremely close. I didn't have a problem with this initially because Faith had a boyfriend, and the way she acted towards my boyfriend, she also acted towards another close male friend, so I thought it's just who she is. Just before Christmas, Faith and her boyfriend broke up. I never got the details, just that it was a really bad breakup. They were living together and Faith needed a place to stay, so my boyfriend offered his couch. This is where I started getting uncomfortable. I told him I didn't like some girl staying at his place like this, and he told me it's temporary and she's his best friend and I don't get a say in who he lends his couch out to. We argued and eventually I relented. On New Year's, I wanted to go back to his place after the celebration at my friend's place, but he said Faith is there and we wouldn't be able to do anything intimate, and I got annoyed and said she can listen to us doing it for all I care. He got annoyed at that and said he's not doing that. I asked him when she plans on getting her own place, and he said she's looking, but it's hard to find something in her price range. I went home alone that night. A week ago, he wasn't feeling the greatest, so I wanted to surprise him with food, so I showed up to his apartment and she answered the door in a tank top and very small pajama shorts. When she went to have a shower, I asked him if she walks around like that all the time, and he said yes, and saw me get annoyed and told me not to start. I asked him how he'd feel if I had a close male friend living with me walking around half naked, and he said he'd be uncomfortable but he'd trust me not to do anything. I told him I do trust him, but it's still a boundary for me, and I asked again when she's moving out. That's when he dropped the bomb on me that the two of them have decided to look for a place together once his lease is up in March. I lost it. She heard us fighting and came out of the shower, dressed, somewhat, and asked what was wrong, and I told her I'm not comfortable with any of this. She apologized and said I better find a way to be comfortable with it. He didn't say anything, and when I said, "Seriously?" he sighed and told me she's right, that she's been his friend longer than I've been in his life, and this will benefit them both in the long run, so this is what's happening. I asked what's going to happen if we wanted to move in together before the lease to whatever place they're getting is up, and he said that's something we can discuss if and when that happens. I was so unbelievably mad and insulted that I just left. I texted him later and asked him to think about what's more important, living with her or our relationship, and he said that sounds like I'm giving him an ultimatum, and I said that's not what I'm doing, but he's being unreasonable. We've been texting since, but it feels like it's probably the end of our relationship. I brought up my discomfort about everything, including how close they are to my best friend, and she said there's nothing I can do, and I'll lose 100% of the time, which kinda pissed me off because if he saw a future with me at all, then shouldn't he want to fight for us and make me feel comfortable in the relationship? Update. So first of all, I wanted to say thank you to everyone who commented and gave me advice and support. I didn't expect this to blow up the way it did. As for an update, I texted him Thursday sometime after I made the post that I wanted to come pick up the things I have at his place Friday after work. All he replied with was sure. Last night after work I went to his place, and when I got there I texted him that I was in the parking lot and told him to bring my stuff down. I really didn't want to deal with Faith, like at all. He eventually came downstairs with a box of my stuff. I went there with every intention on just getting my things and walking away, not saying anything, but I dunno, it was like word vomit. I couldn't stop myself, and I asked him how long they've been sleeping together. He kinda laughed and said it really doesn't matter now, does it? And I said it kinda does if he's been sleeping with both of us at the same time. He said the night I stormed out of his place when he was sick was the first time they slept together since we've been together. I didn't ask if they've slept together before me, I feel like the way he worded his answer confirmed they have a history of hooking up, but maybe I'm reading into it. The last thing I said to him was that he needs to figure his crap out, because no woman is going to play second to her forever. I got in my car and left without letting him respond or looking for a reaction. It didn't feel great to know that he cheated on me, even though I kinda expected it, to be honest. I think I'm somewhere between anger and indifference right now. I've deleted and blocked both of them on literally everything. I just want to move on from all this. I know some of you are gonna say it's a lesson to be learned, but all I learned from this is to make sure the next guy has no intimate history with any female friends before it becomes a relationship, because screw that. Top comments.
This sounds weird. Why all of a sudden now during your relationship when they've known each other for so long? It's also weird that if they would have been hooking up before you, why didn't they just become boyfriend and girlfriend? I'm immensely confused. Are they dropped on their heads or something, or is it something else?
I kind of feel like they have this weird obsession with each other, but for whatever reason won't date. I also don't believe they haven't been hooking up throughout our entire relationship. He's a cheater, a liar wouldn't be that much more of a stretch.
You sound really calm. I would be like infuriated, like wanting to burn them, kind of angry, lol. You alright?
I cried on the way home and I'm sitting in bed eating ice cream, so I'm handling it as well as I can.
Oh, honey. He didn't just cheat on her that day when she stormed out. Every single cheater who admits it always frames it that same way in order to deflect blame. Well, you left and that's why it happened. No, this has been going on a while, likely before she moved onto his sofa, LMAO. The biggest clue was that boyfriend was largely unconcerned about their intimate life, because he was getting it somewhere else.
Regardless of when they started hooking up, his response is to gaslight and humiliate her. I'm sure he's calling her crazy now when, truth be told, he's just a naive coward who has no clue he's being controlled by his BFF. Felt really bad for OP at first, but now I'm just glad she's eating ice cream far away from their ingenious mess.
The fact he cheats on the same day after OP makes it clear she is uncomfortable, and all just proves how much of a garbage person the boyfriend is. I'm happy to hear she dumped him, but I still feel upset on OP's behalf.
AITA for not telling my GF I was gonna break up with her if she went on vacation with her male friends. Basically, my GF went on vacation with her male friends. I told her this made me uncomfortable and didn't want her to go. By the way, she used to hook up with one of them before she met me. She told me it'd be fine and that they are like brothers to her. I already made the decision to break up her right there and then, but I wanted to get my stuff from her place before anything, and I figured I should do that while she's gone. I also didn't want to break up over text or call, so I waited for her to come back. I picked her up when she came back, dropped her off, and gave her the key to her place back and broke up. She started crying, and she figured out it was because of the vacation. She keeps saying that nothing happened. I told her she knew I wasn't comfortable with this, and she still went. She mentioned that I should have said that I'd break up with her if she went, and that if she knew she'd never would have gone. I told her I didn't want to be controlling and threaten her with ending the relationship. We kept going back and forth over this for a while. Top comments.
Did she invite you on this vacation?
She didn't really invite me. I tried to invite myself, but I couldn't go due to work. Was it just her and the guys or other female friends too? Her other friends couldn't make it, including female friends.
Would she have been okay if you went on vacation with a bunch of girls, including one you used to hook up with, without her?
I don't know, I'd never put her in that position to begin with.
A buddy of mine went on vacation with some buddies. A female friend of theirs also went. My friend used to have a friends with benefits thing going on with her. Guess what they did on the vacation? Yes, they screwed. He had a GF that didn't come and she had a BF that didn't come. You are not the asshole.
You aren't the asshole. Also, the fact that she claims she wouldn't have gone if she knew you'd break up over it doesn't make it better, it makes it worse. It shows she doesn't care how it affects you unless it becomes a problem for her too. That is zero integrity, and that is not long-term partner material. It should not take you leaving or thinking about leaving for her to not dismiss your feelings. That's asinine.
Update. Hello everyone, my post got a lot of attention. I responded to a few comments and even edited it. So I figured I should update you all. Her male friend reached out to me on Instagram, the one she used to hook up with. He asked if I was dating my ex, and I told him what happened. He actually apologized. He said he didn't know that we were still dating. He said that my ex was talking mad shit about me, and he was confused. Apparently my ex-GF told him we broke up months ago. And they have been hooking up regularly since. Yes, including the trip. The guy even showed me some pics of the two of them kissing during the trip. So that explains why she never wanted me to meet then. So all my suspicions were correct. The guy actually seemed like a decent guy, he apologized a lot for what he did, I don't hold any resentment towards him, and I'm glad that I got confirmation that I made the right decision. So to all of you who supported me, thanks a lot, I appreciate it. And one last comment to some of you. My insecurity kept me from wasting any more of my time. Top comments.
What made him randomly reach out to you now?
He said my ex was talking badly about me. He was confused because he thought we had been broken up for months now. He reached out to me because he wanted to know what exactly happened between us.
Thank God for the bro looking out for you. Didn't have to be nice or message you at all, but did it cause he knew it was messed up of her?
Why did that help? OP broke up with his girlfriend way before this guy messaged him. All this guy did was confirm that his ex-GF was a horrible person.
It did help a bit. It gave me some peace of mind. To be honest, there were some doubts in my head if I did the right thing or not. Some comments in my previous post made me doubt my decision a bit. While it still hurts, I can at least move forward with zero doubts in my mind.
What really pissed me off about the post before was people so desperate to put at least some blame on him that they tried to blame him for not communicating even though he plainly said, "I am uncomfortable with you going alone with people you have hooked up with before." The compulsive need to at least dump partial blame on the man to reduce blame on the woman means some actual drivel comes from these people's mouths.
Something that I also noticed is that people acted as if I said, "You can't be friends with guys/exes." I never even said that. They acted as if I wanted her locked in a cage with no interaction at all with males. Wife wanted open marriage. After I started dating, she wants to add more rules. What would you do in my position? 2.5 years ago, my wife, Sarah, 36F, asked me to open our marriage. She strongly implied the alternative was divorce. After thinking it through, I said yes, primarily because we do have 2 children, I work long hours, and divorce sounded horrible. So, I set up some ground rules. No bringing dates into our house, no dating mutual friends, acquaintances, family members, or colleagues, and keeping things private. For the next 2 years, I focused on my job and my kids. I worked long hours, and the little free time I had, I devoted to my kids. I didn't have the time for dating, so I wasn't even trying. I moved to another room because the thought of Sarah having intimacy with another man and then sleeping in my bed felt horrible. Our relationship became purely transactional, and we became partners in raising kids. I didn't want to know anything about her intimate life. This summer, I managed to fulfill my financial goals. I do not have any debt whatsoever. Both of my kids have enough money in their college fund, and all I have to do is keep adding some savings every month into the fund I made for their first home deposits. So, I did some math and decided to cut my work from 74 hours to just 30 per week. Sarah wanted to get indebted again to buy another house and a new car, but I said no. I used my free time to finally take a vacation I really needed. I took my older son with me to tour the US together. I did some renovation work on our house and turned the basement into a man cave. I started working out, playing sports, and leading a healthier life. Then I actually started trying to land dates. For me, just having intimacy with somebody is not my thing. I want to at least be friends with that person before that. To go out together, watch movies, have fun, and have intimacy. So I dated a couple of women and found a Jane with whom I clicked. With Jane, I went out to concerts, art galleries, comic cons, movies, etc. And we would boink too. Sarah wanted to talk about my dates. I said no. Then I caught Sarah snooping through my phone, and we had a very strongly worded argument. Now, Sarah wants to update the terms of our open marriage. She wants us to repair our marriage by going to the counselor. She wants us to sleep in the same room, go outside, and have fun together. Our outside of marriage relationships are to be strictly for fun and nothing else. And we are to talk about our intimate partners. I told her I am content with the situation as it is, and I don't mind if she finds a partner to go out with. I encouraged her to. And I don't want to talk about our partners. She is holding her ground. At this point, I'm split between trying to fix our marriage and handing her the divorce papers. I need some advice, guys. What would you do? Several people asked for an update on my previous post. So here it is. My wife Sarah and I had 2 sessions with a couples counselor. The counselor was very dedicated and professional. However, Sarah kept making demands that felt very unreasonable and unfair. She wants to keep an open relationship that is only about intimacy. She doesn't want to find a job and keep working. She wants us to buy a new house. In every variation, she stubbornly wanted to have 2 or 3 of these things. Today, during the counseling, she threatened divorce. After counseling, she said the counselor was taking my side and wanted to change to another counselor. Although I think the counselor was just trying to be fair and find a compromise. I had a talk with the lawyer and started divorce proceedings. She will get the papers in a couple of days. I will give her 2 months to start earning on her own. After that, I'm not giving any money whatsoever to her anymore. P.S. I just wanted to add that I only started working 74 hours a week after she decided to open our marriage. Before that, I was working around 50 hours a week. I wasn't spending my time at bars and clubs either. I helped with chores as much as I could, and I was home and available every weekend. Girlfriend broke up with me after seeing the video of Drake's massive wiener on the internet. How can I win her back? Hey everyone. This is probably one of the most surreal posts I'll ever write, and it's not easy for me to share, but I'm at a loss and in desperate need of some advice. Or maybe just a place to vent where people might understand. Background: my girlfriend and I have been together for a solid 3 years. She's been the most significant part of my life, and up until now, I thought we were on the same page about our future together. But there's been a third wheel in our relationship since day one, Drake. Not literally, but might as well have been. From the get-go, she's been a super fan of his. Drake posters adorn her walls. She's made it her mission to attend as many of his concerts as humanly possible, dragging me along, of course. She runs multiple fan accounts. And as you might expect, her phone screensaver. Drake. It was all in good fun. She'd playfully say I'm her number 2 guy right after him. We even incorporated this fascination into our relationship more intimately. She often asked me to role-play as Drake during our moments together, complete with his music setting the ambience. It was quirky, sure. Doing it to the tune of Left Foot Up, Right Foot Slide wasn't always the best, but it made her happy, and honestly, I didn't mind too much. However, everything changed yesterday. You've all seen the video of Drake's massive schlong flying around in circles on the internet. She saw it, and her reaction was unlike anything I've seen before. She was ecstatic, almost in disbelief. I tried to brush it off with humor, but there was an unspoken tension afterward. This morning, she ended things between us. Said she needed space to think because we're not on the same wavelength anymore. She couldn't provide a clear explanation, but it didn't take much to connect the dots back to that video. I'm heartbroken. We've shared deep emotional connections, supported each other through thick and thin, and genuinely believed in our future together. It seems absurd that something like this could come between us. So here I am, reaching out to you all. How do I navigate this? Is there any coming back from this situation? How can I remind her that real relationships are built on more than just physical attributes or fantasies about celebrities? Has anyone experienced anything remotely similar? How did you handle it or win back your partner under such bizarre circumstances? I'm open to any advice, insights, or even just words of encouragement. Thanks, everyone. Update. Hey everyone. First off, I want to thank you for the support, advice, and personal stories shared in response to my initial post. It meant the world to me during this incredibly tough time and gave me the courage to take what felt like the next necessary step. I took your suggestions to heart and decided to have a candid conversation with my girlfriend about everything that's happened, the video, her reaction, our relationship, and most importantly, her seemingly escalating obsession with Drake. I approached the topic as gently as I could, emphasizing my concern for her and our relationship rather than focusing on the jealousy or the comparison she's drawn between me and Drake. Unfortunately, the conversation didn't go as I hoped. She became defensive almost immediately. When I mentioned that her fascination with Drake might be bordering on a parasocial relationship that could be harmful to both her mental well-being and our relationship, she lashed out. She accused me of being jealous and petty, saying things like, "You'll never be Drake," and comparing my wiener to his, specifically saying that my tiny wiener could never satisfy her in the way Drake's massive wiener could. Her words were like a punch to the gut. Hearing the person I love diminish our years together over an infatuation with a celebrity hit harder than I could have anticipated. It was clear at that moment that this wasn't just about a video or a celebrity crush, it was about deeper issues in our relationship and perhaps within herself that she wasn't ready to confront. So, here we are. The conversation didn't mend things between us. If anything, it confirmed that this breakup, as painful as it is, might be for the best, for both of us. It's a tough pill to swallow, but maybe it's the wake-up call we both needed. I'm heartbroken but also relieved in a way, knowing that this needed to come to light. Also, just to clarify, my wiener is not small. Okay, sure, it might not be as massive as Drake's, but it's still decent.
Bridezilla ruins her own wedding. Demands bridal party pay her cancelled wedding. Starting the year strong, I swear. So, my friend Dana, F29, was supposed to be getting married this past Sunday, January 14th. The wedding got cancelled, and things had gotten very crazy. Dana was getting married to Josh, M32. She's still in college with me and asked a few friends from college, myself included, to be her bridal party. Now, from the start, this wedding has been a disaster. I'm going to just point out a few of the crazy stuff we dealt with. She refused to invite my best friend, who she's supposedly good friends with, because she thinks we're lesbian lovers. We're not. She had us go to the dress fitting and then demanded each of us pay $2,000 each for our dresses. Apparently, she had a specific style she wanted. I can afford it, but I won't buy a $2,000 dress for one event. Some of the girls in the bridal party don't have that flexibility with money. Apparently, Josh couldn't invite any single females that were not blood relatives of him. So, if he had any female friends, they were axed. One of the girls in the bridal party doesn't drink because of her religion. Dana accused her of being pregnant in front of her parents and almost got her kicked out of her house. She was not pregnant and she dropped from the bridal party. She was a class act, though, and never bad-talked Dana. Just said she couldn't make it. We found out about it pretty much on the day of the wedding. She tried to make us cancel our holidays with our families to instead go with her to a destination bachelorette party. I work full-time even during holidays, so I told her that was not happening. More of the bridesmaids said similar things, and she dropped it. That's just 5 things of countless drama this wedding was having before the day. Now, the meat of the story comes on the wedding day. The day started horribly. Dana was having a meltdown because, apparently, the flower girl had to cancel because she had chickenpox. She was threatening to sue the mother unless she brought the sick 3-year-old to the wedding. Josh apparently was able to calm her down from this starter outburst, and we began preparations. The whole day, she had constant outbursts. She made people cry. Like wedding staff and bridesmaids. The maid of honor deserves a medal for the amount of diplomacy and bullshit control she had to do. I, for the most part, took the easy route and decided to work outside the bridal suite, like checking flowers and making sure food was okay. Basically, any excuse not to be around the bride. Eventually, I had my makeup and hair done, then the bride asked for a little bit of time alone to decompress from the stress. We didn't even fight it, you could not see a group of women run faster away. The wedding was starting in 30 minutes, so we figured she would be fine alone for that little. I spent those 30 minutes just sitting in the chapel with my phone. It had to be about 5 minutes before the start of the wedding when the maid of honor came over to tell me the wedding was cancelled. I asked her what happened. Dana was having a quickie with Josh's uncle in the room. Josh caught them. I just stared at the maid of honor with my mouth pretty much about to reach the floor. She told me to run and that she was trying to get as many people out before things exploded. So I quickly got my purse, gathered the 2 bridesmaids that were carpooling with me, and we left like the devil was after us. I checked with the other bridesmaids, and all had escaped. That night, I called the maid of honor to check what happened, and the tea was bad. Apparently and rightfully, Josh called off the wedding, called her a few names, told off his uncle, and has since left with his mates to, I hope, have the biggest single-man party ever. I feel so bad for him. He's an absolute gem of a man. He apparently also told Dana and her parents that she would be paying the cancellation fees. According to the maid of honor, Dana's father told her in front of everyone that she was paying it on her own for being a SL*T. I thought that was the end of it. I made the choice to separate myself from this mess. Until I got a call from Dana not even an hour ago, demanding $5,000 to help pay her cancellation fees. According to Dana, it was our duty as the bridal party to pay her cancellation fees. I obviously told her no, and that she might as well lose my number. I am never speaking to this woman again. This has been pretty much the reaction of all the bridesmaids and the maid of honor. By the way, maid of honor? Josh's older sister. Update. Hey guys. I know a lot of people want to know what happened. After talking to Josh yesterday, he asked me to only say that he's okay, figuring things out, and moving on. We're going to stay friends with him and his sister. Dana was told that no one in the group wants to interact with her, and since then it's been mostly radio silence. I can't share more about Josh's future plans, as he asked me not to. He did have a good laugh at some of the comments I show him and appreciates the support. The one detail I did get corrected on for those curious was about his uncle. He's the younger brother of Josh's mother, and he's 55 years old. I thought he was married into the family, but I got that detail wrong. I also found out the most disgusting detail is the uncle knew Dana since she was a teenager. Dana and Josh are high school sweethearts. So, yeah, I kind of feel gross knowing that. Other than that, I got a major haul of cake. So at least I got something good out of this mess.
Cousin falsely accused me of SA. Now my family is contacting me after almost 10 years. Hi. My story is pretty much like the title says. I just feel so lost on what to do. This is tearing up wounds, and old rage is building again. Let me give some backstory. I grew up in what was probably the most normal of normal households. My parents worked a lot but still managed to care for me and my 3 older sisters. We were never super close as a family, but we never had any issues either. The same goes for my extended family. They always lived a few hours away, but we saw each other during summer holidays or Christmas and always got along great. But when we got older, we naturally grew apart as everyone had their own lives. I'm 31 now. In 2014, when I was 22 and attending uni, I got a phone call from my mother that turned my life upside down. I remember I didn't even answer at first because I was gaming with friends. But she called again immediately after the first call. This was an unwritten rule in the family. If you call twice like that, it's important. Like someone died important. So when she called again, I excused myself and answered, only to hear chaos at the other end. Like people were arguing. But when my mom realized I had answered, it sounded like she went to another room and closed the door. I just asked what was going on, and I heard she was crying. My memory of this conversation is a bit blurry, but she basically asked me if I had something to confess to regarding E. E is my cousin on my mom's side and is 7 years younger than me, 15 at the time. At that point, I hadn't even seen E for several years. I just said no and asked what this is about. She just cried even harder and started accusing me of essaying E back when we were children. That he had told everything to my sister, and that my sister told my mother and my aunt. He had told them that back when she was 9, and I 16, she'd been playing in my room when I came in and started feeling her under her clothes and kissing her. My mother screamed at me to say something, but I couldn't even speak. It was all so absurd. I remember thinking that must be some bad joke. The last thing I remember saying was that it's not true and that E is lying. But then my mom goes on saying that E gave such a detailed description of where and how. Then she kept asking something like, "Did you do this? Did you do this?" And I just screamed back at her, "No," each time. It all ended with my mom putting me on speaker and both my mom and dad saying that they didn't want anything to do with me and never to contact them again. 2 of my sisters texted me later that day, pretty much saying that I was disgusting, and then blocked me. I know it's weird, but after that call, I went to have a long shower. To this day, I still don't know why I did that. After calming down, I started calling and texting everyone, even E. No one answered, and the ones who hadn't blocked my number by then quickly did so. The only thing I heard back was from my father, who texted me to stop contacting them and that they need to heal. That was 9 years ago, and I haven't spoken to anyone in my family since that day. To say this messed me up is an understatement. I was living in a haze for weeks after that and hardly ate at all. It didn't help that this was right before I was supposed to defend my bachelor's thesis, and I was already stressed out. Luckily, my co-writer sensed something was up and saved me by controlling the conversation so that I got the easy parts. Without him, I am sure I would have failed. Needless to say, no one came to my graduation. Then started the worst period of my life. I spent the first year expecting the cops to knock on my door and arrest me for SA. I didn't land any jobs, just living off my saved money. I drank a lot and did oxy. I also grew resentful and violent. The only reason I didn't hurt anyone was because no one was around. My neighbor called the cops on me once after I had smashed a glass, but I managed to convince the officers that I had just dropped it, and they went away since there were no others inside my apartment. Instead of sleeping, I spent my nights planning how I could hurt E and make sure no one ever found out. Even thinking how I could actually do the things she'd accused me of, but much worse. I know, I'm not proud of that. I landed my first real job in my field in late 2015. Only then did things start to improve. I focused all my time on my job, as it gave me something normal to do. Recovery was a slow process, but I drank less, sober now for 4+ years, and smiled more. I lived cheap and earned good money, so I made a point of buying myself a nice gift for my birthdays, a VR headset, a motorcycle, Lego, etc. And last year, I moved from my shitty apartment and bought a small house. It was an old dream of mine to have my own garage and a garden to care for. This has boosted me even more. So my life is okay now. I still have problems. I've been on antidepressants for the last few years, and while they help, it's not in a happy way. They simply remove the dark thoughts and replace them with dead ones. My trust in other people is close to non-existent. I've tried dating but have only been on 2 dates with 2 different women. It's really hard to speak like a normal person when it comes down to it. And what would I tell a potential partner when she asks about my family? Oh, you know, they accused me of a heinous crime, and we're not talking anymore. But I didn't do it, I swear. My field is very male-dominated, so the only woman I really speak to is my therapist, who I like a lot. If this text was difficult to follow, I apologize. I'm not good with words on the best of days, and I started rambling a bit when it all came back to me. It's already getting long, so I will fast forward to my current issue. A few days ago, I received a text from my mother. It felt unreal, and I was scared to open it at first, so I just stared at the notification for hours before opening it. Yesterday, another text followed. Translated, they basically say, Text 1. Hi, OP. It's been so long since we talked. We miss you and want to know how you're doing. Here, she writes a long text about my sisters and how my nieces and nephews are getting big. I didn't even know I was an uncle. Know that we love you and always will. Mom and Dad. Text 2. Hi, OP. We understand if you don't want to talk to us after what happened, but please listen. Last month, the subject of you was brought up at a family gathering. During this, E was downplaying everything that had happened to her. It got so awkward that she finally admitted that nothing happened and that she probably just dreamt it. We were all appalled by this. When we last spoke, we wanted to protect E and did the only thing we thought we could do. We know that's not excusing how you were treated. What he did was wrong, and we're all angry at her. We have called everyone that knew and told them the truth. We all want to speak with you, and your sisters want you to meet their families. Please write back if you can find it in you to forgive us. Mom and Dad. So yeah. That's my situation right now. I haven't answered, but they no doubt know I've seen it. Truth be told, I'm seething. So many old, shitty memories are now stirring again. I don't want to forgive them, and I wouldn't trust myself to be in the same room as them right now. Part of me wants to call my family and unleash everything on them, to guilt them with everything I went through until they all hit rock bottom, then dedicate my life to making my cousin's life as miserable as possible. The other part wants to ignore them and continue with my okay-ish life with my motorcycle and my garden to keep me company. I don't have any friends. The only people I speak to are my coworkers, but we're not really close. I've called my therapist's clinic, but they told me she's on vacation and won't be available for weeks, and I don't want anyone else than her. So that leaves internet strangers. So please, where to go from here? Do I ignore them and continue as is? Or do I answer? And if so, what to even write? I'm pretty sure meeting them in person would be a bad idea for the foreseeable future, but I'm not even sure how my life can improve from picking up those old threads. As embarrassing as it may sound, I've dreamed about the day when they apologized to me, throwing themselves to the ground and kissing my feet. Texting seems so anticlimactic now. TLDR. My cousin falsely accused me of essaying when we were minors, and I was disowned. Now it has been revealed that it never happened, and my family is contacting me and wants to make amends. I don't know how to respond.